Laugh out loud, it's the place to be, where geeky minds meet so naturally. From pixel legends to blockbuster heart, dive right in, let's set this vibe apart.
Yeah. It's another week. It's the end of January.
It is. We're going into February already.
We survived the first month of 2026, and it seems like this is just as expensive as 2025. So I don't know how I'm feeling about this.
I don't know. Gas prices here are going down pretty far. They're going like $2.40 a gallon. So I'm imagining in California, you guys are paying what, $7-8 now?
17.
Is it at least 17?
That's the drop. 17 to drop. No, it's still expensive here. Everything is expensive here.
I heard that there's like only like a handful of like refineries in California, and California has special gas that nobody else uses, and it's like this whole thing, and it's like okay, well, I'm allowed to drive there.
Yeah, it's rocket fueled. That's what we use. And also, just to point out that our video games, if you have to actually use your hands to play them, they're like a baby's toy.
Ah, it's like a baby's toy. I wonder what the games were like then. You just like put on a helmet and it just like goes with your brain waves or something.
I don't know, but maybe we should go back to, what year was that? 2015?
Yeah, that was in 2015. In 2015, the thing that was going on was VR. VR was starting to take off around for one of its runs. VR is like 3D. VR and 3D, they will always come back around in spurts. Eventually, maybe VR might finally get it, but I doubt it. I think eventually it's going to be the holodeck from Star Trek. And then once that happens, everybody will be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Barrett, yeah, happy. What are we doing? Let's make good people happy.
If you haven't noticed yet, we actually have a special guest from the BM Squared. Barrett has joined us tonight because our topic was actually his idea. And it's a darn good topic, so I figured, you know what, let's do it. Let's get him on, and let's let him roll it out. But before that, we got a couple things that we got to go over here. So first off, this is more for me than it is for you guys. Sorry. So a couple weeks ago, we were going to do an episode that we missed, and that would have been my birthday episode. Last week was Ben's birthday episode. However, the birthdays don't end there. So for all of you, and I'm sorry I haven't done anything with the Blooming News recently. I need to get back to that. But a happy birthday to Joanna, who will probably never hear this episode anyway. But it is her birthday, so that's the reason to party. And hopefully I'll be getting out of Blooming News pretty soon. They haven't been as active as they were last year, so that's why there's been less of them coming out. So I just wanted to go ahead and plug that really quick. If that gives you reason to party, go have some cake. If you don't like the group, have cake anyway, because it's freaking awesome. Sorry.
Yeah, party on, Barrett.
Yes. So we're at the end of the month, which means that we need to go over the schedule for next month. Here's what's going on in February. And I noticed that February is going to be a very game-heavy month. So all of you zero people that have been complaining that we're not talking about gaming stuff as much as we used to, you don't have to complain anymore. So here...
Although he's not saying that the people who are saying that are zeros. He's saying that 0 people have been saying that.
Yes, exactly. Zero cool.
0 people. And that's like you might be insulting somebody. It's not an insult, it's a fact.
Zero cool actually hacked into my system and told me that we need to talk about video games more. So here's what we have coming up. So for February 1st, next Sunday, we will be talking about our favorite game heroes, which is kind of going to be a 2-part when we work the second part in, because this is going to be the heroes. Next time we'll do favorite game villains. After that, we're going to have some movie reviews. We're calling this one for the 8th, Rise of the Robots. We're going to be talking about Westworld versus Terminator, Transformers.
The TV series. This is Westworld, the movie from the 1970s, just to be clear.
Yes. Transformers, the animated movie from the 80s versus the live action, the first Transformers live action movie. Then Pacific Rim versus Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. So we'll have a lot of fun with those movie reviews, and definitely feel free to comment how we have no idea what we're talking about. Which are
And if you want us to do Transformers versus GoBot one day, let us know.
yes. Now that makes me think I am going to do a You Speak We Regurgitate right after this, because there is one that I want to comment on, especially with Barrett here, because I think Barrett's going to have a lot of fun with this one too. So next after that is February 15th is stupid and funny stuff you did in video games. Maybe you renamed something or you did some sort of action or whatnot that just made the game so much more fun to do, and it was just dumb to do. Then finally on February 22nd, yes, more game stuff. We're going to do games that either have too many different copies of it, or let me rephrase that. Games with too many copies of it and which version plays best.
So this would be one where there's different ports, or where
Ports, remakes, remasters, there's just too much of it.
and the ports were only counted if they're actually different. So it's like if it's like the 16-bit era and you're doing different ports, yes, they're going to be different. But if it's like today, a port on Xbox and a port on PlayStation are the same game.
Yeah, and I mean you're gonna hear familiar names like ones that rhyme with meat, biter, poo will definitely be mentioned on something like that. So that's what's coming up in February.
That's a German porn, I think.
I believe so. I believe it does have Cartman's mom in it as well.
That's right.
So I just want to do really quick because it just came to my mind. It's time for You Speak, We Regurgitate. And this comment comes from 4C ZZ8C. I don't know what that means. You don't know what that means. No, what the person who posted has no idea what the name means. And this was
The name just like came up at some point in their online life and they just stuck with it.
yes.
Yeah.
So, and they put on our Aliens review Colonial Marines with a question mark.
That's because we made that Halo comment, I think. And it's like, no, dude, if you think that, no, we're not saying that the movie Halo or the game Halo is directly the same as Aliens. There's just a lot of stuff in Aliens that is also in Halo.
Well, I thought this person was questioning, why are you using that word? And I'm like, dude, that would kind of fit what they are.
Or maybe that's what it was. I don't know what the guy was commenting about. It's almost like, dude, put a timestamp in number one. It's like a thing.
Would it be wrong to call them Colonial Marines in the movie?
For lack of a better term.
I'll join in here, guys.
Space Marines.
Go for it. I need what?
They're not called Space Marines. That's Warhammer 40K.
Yes.
I don't think, in fact, I actually just last night rewatched Aliens because I had another buddy who'd never seen it before. And I'm pretty sure they're called Marines in the movie, but they never say anything else. It's never clarified.
They're intergalactic Marines.
Oh, it is hinted that even though a lot of stuff is done by the private company, the Weyland-Yutani Corp, and it's implied in the Alien 2 that the Marines, though they are sometimes do things for, like in this case, they're obviously helping with something that benefits the corporation. It's implied that they are actual governmental military.
Mm-hmm.
But they're never said, I don't think they say anything other than Marines. After the fact, in extended media, including video games, which is what I think this person's referencing, in like comics and tie-in books and video games, they are explicitly called Colonial Marines.
Okay.
Colonial Marines. Okay.
Be a game called Aliens colonial marines. And I think that's what the person was maybe asking about.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying because I was lost on that.
Yeah, well, and maybe because it's an infamous game, like maybe they thought you were going to mention it or they wanted you to mention it, because the Aliens Colonial Marines game is infamous for being like one of the shittiest games ever.
We could mention an Aliens game, but we mentioned Aliens versus Predator for the Jaguar. And like video.
This is like so basically the Alien versus Predator game has this long, weird lineage, and even though it kind of went to shit, there was like this brief time period in like 99 or 2000 where there was one game that was ultra amazing. And then there was a follow-up game that was pretty good, but not as good. And then it went to hell. And then there was an attempt to reboot the original good game by the company that made that first one that was good.
Tale of the old time with video games or movies or anything. The first one was really good. The second one was okay. It wasn't as good. And then, yeah, that Disney gets a hold of it, and there's a million of them now.
Yeah, and basically, so even though they don't, it's no longer called, like, not all the games have been called Alien versus Predator, and sometimes, like, Aliens Colonial Marines is called that because instead of following the formula where in all the other games you get basically 3 campaigns, you get a human, a predator, and an alien campaign. There was this period during which the studio that owns the rights decided, well, you know what? We'll split it apart into separate games. And so this was basically, it was still supposed to be an AVP game, but they split it and they had just a dedicated game for the human faction. And it was absolutely terrible. And it basically killed the whole everything. And they never made much else, except they did make an online only Predator game that was actually pretty good.
Now, the original Aliens versus Predator game that's for the Jaguar, is that the same one that's out for PC?
No.
No.
No,
Mike, you had a thing for, yeah, it's the company that made that Jaguar one is the one who later got a bigger budget to make the really, really good PC one that I mentioned in like 90.
Oh, okay. So the one for PC is from the same company, but it's a better game.
Yeah, it's way better. Way better. It's the one on PC. Aliens versus Predator on PC is just outstanding. So as a first-person shooter, it's just an outstanding game. And I think that all 3 of the campaigns, whether you're doing Marine, Alien, or Predator on it, they're done really well to fit that type of character.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a situation where this didn't work out, where you took the main game and you split off part of it to make it its own game. But there are several times when this works. Like,
yes.
I mean, Mike, you're not a huge fan of Portal, but Portal is an example of that, where it was part of the Orange Box and they split it off to its own series. Or there's Captain Toad Treasure Hunter was part of one of the Mario games, and they spun that off to make its own game. I'm asking 2K, if anybody from 2K is hearing me right now, my GM mode in WWE, that's all I want to play. I don't need the rest of the game. I just want the my GM mode. I don't want it on my phone because I know there's a GM game for the phone. I don't want it on my phone. I want it on my console. If you do that, it'll be $30, and that's all I want.
Okay, Ben, I gotta jump in. I gotta specify something right now on what you just said. I gotta make something clear. I don't dislike Portal. I love Portal. I dislike Portal 2.
Oh, okay. My
Big difference, because I will still play Portal to this day. Portal 2 is just a complete turd that's still squeezing out a dog's crack. It's that bad. I won't touch that one. Unless, of course, you're doing co-op.
Are we gonna do? Oh, like, I say, like, how about the third one? You gonna put a third one if it ever comes out?
Probably not. And I'm actually questioning whether I want to even do a third one on Half-Life at this point, if it ever comes out. But and I think part of it is just I'm not big on the Half-Life game anymore because it is feeling too Call of Duty-ish for me. But I think the other thing that's burned me out is all these people that are like, it's been confirmed. Oh my gosh, it's coming. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, no, it's not. Oh, but it is now. Those people are just driving me nuts.
Well, I will say that I do have a good deal of faith for a great Half-Life free if we ever do get it, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys didn't play the Half-Life VR one, right? The Half-Life.
Yeah, I played through it, but I played it without the VR. And it's still actually pretty good.
Yeah, I played it with the VR, and it was really amazing. I was very much blown away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never played much Half-Life. I think I played one of them for like 5 minutes. I was in a time where I really was not in the first-person shooters, and it was because first-person shooters were everywhere, and they were the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Well, like, I wanted to wait until the dust settled, and let's find the ones that are, like, last, not knowing that Call of Duty was going to take that and turn it into a yearly series. Like, people like our Modern Warfare. Let's do it all the time.
All right, so I think we got to get back on track here.
Yeah.
So we got a little mini topic here. So it's time for Francia Quickie. So I asked you guys for one song that is probably very misunderstood, that you discovered, that you listened to, you heard it, and it has a specific vibe to it. And when you go back and really look into it, listen to what he's saying or whatnot, you realize, oh crap, that isn't about what I thought it was about. And it seems like everyone's kind of getting this wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. And you guys all know me. I just don't just say the title. So you guys ready for my song?
Sure.
Okay, now bop da ba do wop dibba da ba do wop da ba do.
Wow.
Okay, when this song came out, now I want to make clear I am not a Hanson fan, but I heard this so many times, and I see the video because this was actually when MTV actually still played videos for at least an hour a day, and when you see this video, now you got to understand, this is written by a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old, I believe they were when they wrote the song. And the video is them, going around town, rollerblading and jumping around and whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, the chorus just bop over and over again. They're just talking about stupid crap as a kid, having fun and whatnot. I don't know if you guys have ever read the lyrics to this, but
Are you gonna tell us something deep? Like this is about like sexual assault or something?
no, it's not about sexual assault. Let me actually pull up the lyrics here. Lyrics. Okay, here you go. This is what it says at the beginning. You have so many relationships in this life, only one or two will last. You go through all this pain and strife, then you turn your back and they're gone so fast. You're talking about little kids discussing being an adult and all these people that you've met over your life and finding out, well, that person didn't stick around. Well, that person betrayed me. Well, that person did care, obviously.
Are you sure the song's written by them and not by some ghostwriter and they didn't like just put the kids' names on it, or the kid came up with the bop part, so they got credit for that?
Evidently, this is a by them.
Okay.
So yeah. So I didn't realize. I'm like, and then going back to reading the lyrics, I'm like, dude, they are way ahead of their time for this age, knowing what's like life is going to be like. But you're never going to get that if you listen to the song, because it sounds like this happy little kid song, like something you'd hear on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, they're very, very Disney-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
So that's my entry. So Barrett, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, so mine is a Japanese song called Shima Uta. You probably know of it, Mike. It's a famous one. And I didn't realize, like, in fact, actually, so I was teaching a class many, many years ago, and I had a student. I used this song as an example. This is a very simple song. It has like seemingly very simple lyrics, very repetitive. And so I would often use it as just a fun way to let the students practice, right? So they practice singing along to the song, and then we go and analyze the lyrics together. And I used it for years as a language teaching tool. And then one day I had this student raise her hand and say, "Hey, I think it means something else." And I was like, "Well, really?" And at the time I was like, "I don't know. I don't think so. It seems fairly straightforward." And then a little bit later, I went home and I looked up interviews with the songwriter, and turns out the entire thing was code for talking about really sad, depressing, dark stuff. And I was blown away. And then I told that student, I was like, "You were right. It's very different from what it seems like."
I don't know that song. I'm gonna have to check that one out.
It's a great song too. Very, very, very sad. But you won't get that because it sounds very happy. But like the interviews with the songwriter, it's very, very bad.
I gotta jump in really quick and just mention that kind of on that note. Back in my 20s, I wrote a whole bunch of songs, and I think a lot of them ended up being like a major key, so they're happy songs. But people would listen to the lyrics, and I've had people say, "Oh, I really like your songs. They're so much fun. I like them, but don't ever write a song about me, please," because they're all just like sad, depressing, like you're talking about, but you don't get that from the vibe of the song.
Yeah. Well, that's then definitely that's what this one's like.
Yeah, I just want to jump off a cliff. I want to jump off this building here to my death. Yeah, my death.
What song was that?
I don't know. I didn't know what was really where to go with this topic. So I was thinking about like AC/DC Thunderstruck. I always thought it was like a party song, like you're maybe like your the powerful vehicle or something. The whole song is about sex and it's an orgasm.
Isn't that like all AC/DC songs?
Well, I didn't know that when I was young.
I mean, what do you have? What is that? That one? She shook me all night. That's about it. Back in Black.
Yeah.
That's about. Who knows?
I don't think it's about being with a black girl.
I don't think so either.
That means like money wise, when you're in the black, it means you're in the positive. So it means you're having sex again.
But you know what happens when you have a lot of money?
More money, more problems.
Oh, I thought you were going with more money, more prostitutes, but that works too.
Well, cash rules everything around me. Cream, dollar bill, y'all.
All right, so that little quick topic in.
Oh, there it go.
So let's get to our main topic here, which actually we're doing pretty good. We're under 30 minutes right now. So I think we're setting a record for getting into this topic. So all those people that are now going to fast forward to the 30-minute mark, expecting that's when the topic starts, are probably going to miss some stuff. But that's too bad. You should listen to the full episode. So
we only do the timestamps when we do movies, right?
Yeah, I only do a timestamp on the movies.
Yeah.
So Barrett,
Yes.
we're passing the mic over to you. Go ahead and mention the topic that you came up with, and then jump in with the first game associated with your topic.
Okay, so the topic is when there's a series of games and maybe they change, as things often do, except we talked about Call of Duty. That doesn't even change. It's the same over and over and over again, right? But most series will say probably change. They evolve over time. And if you have too many games, or if they make huge changes from game to game, there might be a point at which if you played the other ones, you might ask yourself, well, is this even the same series anymore? Or has it changed so much that it's unrecognizable now, that we should really call it something else? And if so, where does that happen? At what point has it made too much of a change? Okay, that's the topic. And my first one is the Doom series. And this is actually what got me thinking about it, because I played the latest one, which is Doom the Dark Ages, the other day. And I beat the game. But man, I was telling you, I was playing it, and the whole time I was playing it, I was like, I don't know what this is. This doesn't feel like a Doom game to me. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I got thinking about it, and I was like, well, was it with Doom Eternal? Was it reboot Doom 2016? Was it Doom 3? I mean, obviously the first several ones are probably close enough. Like, I don't think, certainly wouldn't argue that, like, anywhere in the semi 3D ones that it changed that much. I feel like it's got to be sometime after that. And I'm open to what you guys think. When you think, or if it even changed enough to you. I think it has changed so much that it's different, and I think that I think it's Doom Eternal. For me, it's Doom Eternals when it changed so much. I could kind of make a case for Doom 2016 still sort of being a Doom game, at least enough that I'll include it, although it is fairly different. I still consider Doom 3 close enough. And the reason why I say that is that, to me, what makes it a Doom game is that, first of all, that you're more or less regular person. The player character is a regular person, a no-name schlub who gets sort of just left behind or is just like the last man standing, so to speak. And that it is that by like sheer luck and your shooting and the fact that you just are lucky enough to have a whole shit ton of guns at your disposal and practically, tons of ammo, that you could just barely get by, right? That there's hordes of stuff, there's huge hurdles, there's all sorts of things, right? But that you can get by just barely, right? Because you have all these things. And so then I feel like 2016, even though 2016 started to hint at like this whole like, oh, actually you're a demigod kind of thing, for the most part, when you're playing 2016, it still feels like, well, you are more or less a regular guy, as far as as far as the player knows. And it's still mostly about the shooting. But then I feel like Eternal changed it to like, now you're just a demigod and you can't lose. You're immortal and you're basically destined to do this forever. And you've been doing the same thing over and over again for millions of years or whatever, right? And then they also started to change the gameplay a bit. It's more about other things. They introduce all this platforming. And then definitely by the time you get to Dark Ages, I don't know, did you guys play Doom Dark Ages?
I didn't know it wasn't Doom Dark.
I haven't played it, but I do want to mention something about your choice, Barrett. Whether I agree or disagree on this, I had to just strike a game off my list that I was going to talk about tonight because of you mentioning it.
Oh,
So that tells you whether I agree or not. Then no, I have not played Dark Ages.
yeah.
Thank you, Garrett, for shortening the show up tonight.
Yeah, so Dark Ages is basically an arcade game. Like, it's very, very and not like an arcade game in the sense of like an old school, like a scrolling shooter or something. It's an arcade game in like the sense that it has these like very obvious tells, and it's almost like the closest thing I would compare Doom the Dark Ages to would be like Guitar Hero or like the drum game or any of those rhythm games, because that's what they basically turned it into. You don't even have to pick up a gun in that game because they give you like all these melee things, and then also you just have your shield. And in fact, the game tries to get you to just do the rhythm minigame thing where all the enemies, they spawn these like colored balls that fly all over and, kind of bullet hell sort of thing. And there's different colored balls. And you're supposed to basically just like line up the other, whatever, like if most of the balls are one color and there's one that's a different color, you're supposed to focus on that one and then just time it so you bring up your shield and then you block that other colored ball. And then that causes damage to the enemies in some inexplicable way. Like somehow magically that hurts all the enemies. And they basically just want you to do that over and over and over and over again. And like technically you have guns and you can shoot, but like it barely does anything because they want you to do the rhythm minigame thing.
Gotcha.
And so that to me, I was like, well, that doesn't feel like Doom at all. And
So for me, I'm actually going to go back even farther, and I'm going to disagree with you on something that I was going to bring up Doom because I think that the change really took place on Doom 3. Because Doom 1 and Doom 2, now they're not arcade, but they are very run and gun, fast paced.
Yeah.
Doom 3 wasn't that. Doom 3 wanted to go in a direction that felt more survival horror because survival horror was getting so big at that point.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, it feels like it's instead of being that you're doing a level and you have to find the switches and shoot as many baddies as you want to get there, it became this more checking corners and dealing with the dark and so forth. So it felt like I don't know. I'm trying to think of a game that it was like where that I've actually played, where rather than just saying something like I think like Deep Space or something like that, which is I think kind of the same thing. Um, but Doom, if not Doom 3, definitely by Doom the 2016 version, it had changed so much that it wasn't to me fun at all. First thing is it really pushed the glory kills.
Yeah.
So it felt like it was trying to go more cinematic, impress you with visuals type of thing rather than just the run and gun, to where it was forcing you to do that because if not, you're wasting a whole bunch more ammunition to drop these enemies with just shooting them. And then I got to Eternal, and that's where I stopped. That's why I haven't played Dark Ages, because once you take that Doom 2016 feel, move it over into that, and add the platforming, it's not Doom anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Cool. My turn.
No, actually, it would be my turn. Oh, your turn to talk about Doom. I'm sorry, my mistake.
Oh, for Doom? No, I got nothing to say about that.
Then it would be my turn, which actually, well, Barrett, do you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, that's fine.
This is where I was mentioning we're going to do our regular ones, but I'm actually going to hold off on that because my big one is actually going to be related to Doom. So I'm going to do mine, and then we'll knock out those two regular ones we get, Ben, and then you can do yours, and then we'll keep going around. So since this is so connected to Doom, we'll go back one game further that really brought about Doom. Wolfenstein. So Wolfenstein, Spear of Destiny, those felt very much the same. It changed when you get to Return to Castle Wolfenstein. It's a completely different game at this point. If we're talking about Doom being run and gun, Wolfenstein 3D, well, you can actually say Wolfenstein was 3D is also is changed from Wolfenstein. But anyway, Wolfenstein 3D is runner and gunner because is a lot more fast paced, is a lot more just open doors and get to the switch. Return to Castle Wolfenstein wanted to put this big elaborate story and environment on it and wanted to make it more realistic than it was than the cartoon style that Wolfenstein 3D was. And it feels like it's trying to be Call of Duty. And the sequels to that feel like they're trying to be Call of Duty rather than what it used to be. So that's where I definitely dropped the series on Wolfenstein, or at least the 3D version. So anyone want to add something to that?
I haven't played really Wolfenstein. I played the Return to Castle Wolfenstein. I had that on Xbox, and I played that until they got to the supernatural stuff, and then that kind of turned me up.
Ooh.
And I like fighting the Nazis. I would have been happy if the whole game was just fighting Nazis.
So wait, which one is that? The Return to Castle Wolfenstein? Because didn't they have like a 2 or 3 that had very similar titles?
There's one. Okay, so the PC one is called Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and then there's one for Xbox, the original Xbox, and then there's also one for PlayStation 2. And the difference is that I think the Xbox one has an extra level, and the PlayStation 2 has an extra outfit or something. I forget the difference, but there's.
Well, Return to Castle Wolfenstein was after the big long break from like Spear of Destiny. It dropped, I think, like mid 2000s or so.
Oh, let me look.
and then they went into like, what was it? Old Blood, and then New Colossus, and then there was one that was close to that name. And I don't remember what came after that.
Okay, well, so here's why I asked, because there were two that I played. There was one that was, full 3D, and it was kind of like early days. Like I think it might have even used like the Quake or Quake 2 engine or something.
Mhm.
And that one I feel like would still have enough connective tissue because it was still basically a run and gun shooter, and you were mostly inside the castle, so it's like interior claustrophobic stuff, and just going like room to room, corridor to corridor, and stuff. And that one I feel like whichever that one was, like to me at least, was still close enough that I call it a Wolfenstein game. But then there was one that came out I think a little bit afterward that I actually like. I think it's one of my top games of all time, but I could see it not really being a Wolfenstein game, where it's like this crazy ambitious thing where it's like you have an entire German city that you're trying to like push back against the Nazi forces, and they're like, you're basically part of the German resistance movement.
Mhm.
And you go around doing your own things as the player character, but like there's also like in actual time other players, other NPCs doing things, and like, and you can lose territory, you regain territory. There were missions, but like in addition to the missions, you could just go around the city and help out stuff. And you could just like as you're wandering like to the area where you're gonna do whatever mission, like rescue a hostage or something, on the way to that place, you cross through these neighborhoods in the town, and there could be dynamic things going on where there's like, the Nazis are trying to like retake this building, or or the rebels are trying to like steal munitions, stuff to help them out and actually like move the war one way or the other. Like that was really cool, but yeah, it's very different.
Okay, so just to put in perspective, the Wolfenstein that I'm talking about predates Doom 1. I don't know if you know about this one. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to share, this is Wolfenstein 3D. This is a Wolfenstein that I'm talking about. Have you ever played this Wolfenstein?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you're familiar.
I know that's what you're saying. That is the Wolfenstein, right? And then we're comparing later things to that.
Yes. So I'm just, yeah, and that's where this is nothing like what Wolfenstein became when it got to Return to Castle Wolfenstein, where it has basically a more serious tone to it and serious look to it. Now the interesting thing is we can go even further on this. We can go back to actual Castle Wolfenstein, which is super duper old, which even Wolfenstein 3D shouldn't be should be renamed, because this here is Castle Wolfenstein. I don't know if you've ever played this before.
Nope.
Okay, yeah, this was back in the early 80s. So this looks like it's 1981 that this came out. And here's your top down walking around, and you're basically it's more of like a stealth game almost.
It's one of those games like, how is this never ported to the Atari?
Yeah, well, this would be too much for the Atari. But this would be like, I wonder if this would be like, you could say, an influence for something like Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. It feels like old school Metal Gear.
Yeah. So this series has just gone through so many changes, and it's like, at what point do you say this isn't where we started?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you could even say Wolfenstein 3D, the one that most of us know, is actually a departure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's mine. You guys have anything else you want to add to that?
Nine.
Okay. Let's get the regular top ones out of the way. Okay, Ben, I'm gonna throw one out, and then you can throw the other one out. So regular ones that we're gonna mention, of course, Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
16 is nothing like 1. Nothing like 1.
It's got the same title.
It does. It's got the same letters, basically. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, but that series really, I mean, that series tries to evolve with each game. I think that when you got to finally like 7 is where it broke off from what it really was. And that could be because of the hardware, that the change in the hardware. But then after 10, it was just, it's not even recognizable anymore.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's where I do the cutoff is 10. Like after 10, it's like, what is this anymore? It's not, it's just, they just took the name and they used to run on something else. It's like if you went and, you know, you took somebody and you watched the first Star Wars movie, and then you're like, okay, now we're going to watch an episode of Endor. And you're like, oh, this isn't Star Wars. Like, yeah, it is. It's Endor. That's one of the planets they go on. You know, it's like it's and I hear Endor is a good series, so I'm not trying to shit on Endor, but but that's what it's like though. It's like you're going from like it's this extreme change all these years later on all these different series, and Final Fantasy is a perfect example of that. Of like it's nothing compared to what it was when it was this one company's final chance of making it with a successful title.
Except that's not true. That whole story is not really true.
I figured it's too romantic to be true.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah, so that's one of the regulars. Ben, you want to do the other regular?
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 4 in particular, or 4 Resident Evil, depending on how you want to read it.
I always read it as President Evil.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean, you really look at it because I know the 4 is like the right way, but my brain flips the 4 around. It looks like a P.
Resident Evil.
Yeah.
It's going to be the best game ever. Okay.
Yeah, 4 I agree is where it had a change, but I think there's another change in the Resident Evil series as well too, which is 7, because 4 1 through 6, Resident Evil was really good at making it feel like a cheesy B movie horror type thing, where you're this you're this really strong character because you're this member of STARS, or you're this very skilled police officer at this point, so your guy is not a pushover. But then 7 was like, I don't know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a weak guy. And I think 4 still has some Resident Evil feel, very little. I think 7 at this point is completely different and shouldn't even be a Resident Evil.
I agree. I love 7, but they really needed to like just market it as something else. I just ask you about the fact that they went first person too.
Yeah, see that's well, I mean, they did go first person on like Resident Evil Survivor back on PlayStation.
Yeah, but that wasn't a mainline game though, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that wasn't. That was a side story. So, but yeah, it's not the same. And that's the thing with Resident Evil 4, and what made 4, one of the things that made 4 feel different was it wasn't the same, where it was the still shots that you're looking at and maneuvering your character around in those still shots. You're now following behind the character, and that's one of the changes that made it feel not like it was part of the series.
Yeah, although that said, I wouldn't consider that as big of a change as it normally would be, because they, at least the level design was such that they still funneled you into a lot of areas that was still claustrophobic, and they limited your view and stuff. So effectively, it still functioned kind of like when you have static backgrounds, even though technically you have full range of motion. And
yeah, no, I get that. And what about the villains? The fact that it didn't feel like, your standard Resident Evil villains, like your standard generic zombies and almost said face huggers, liquor, and whatnot.
yeah, that's interesting. I had not thought about it that way.
Mm.
Yeah, the fact that it's... Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's another big thing there. That makes it not feel so Resident Evil. Now, 5 tried to, I think 5 did bring back zombies, like the standard zombies, but then 5 and 6 wanted to feel like less survival horror and more just like an action movie.
Yeah.
So
They will.
So, yeah.
28 days later variety.
yeah, exactly. So I looked together a series with a lot of changes in it.
Yeah. And it Resident Evil, like they try to hit it so many different genres.
Mm.
And then he did the Revelations series, which I'm like, that's what they should have done
Yes.
more.
Well, I think the first Revelation series still feels too G.I. Joe. It still feels like Resident Evil 5, where it's just an action game, but with like a lot of scanning. I think it's Revelations 2 where they finally hit the mark and got back on what a Resident Evil game should feel like.
So that covers the 2 normal ones that we cover every time we do topics where there's something wrong in gaming.
Yep. So it's your turn.
This isn't exactly a bad thing, but it has shown that this game has changed a lot. Would be the Legend of Zelda series. I'm striking
Another one off my list.
Like you play the first game and then you play like Tears of the Kingdom and you're like, what the heck happened here? And most of them are great games. None of them are horrible games. It's just some of them are better than others. And it's just there's so many different ways that they've presented it. Even the second game in the series, you went from like the Legend of Zelda and then Zelda 2, the Adventures of Link. It's a completely different style of gameplay there. And then they go back to the original gameplay for A Link to the Past, and then they go 3D on Nintendo 64, but then they also keep the 2D element on the handheld, and now they're doing both. And they pull the Mario, or there's 3D Mario and there's 2D Mario, or there's 3D Zelda and there's 2D Zelda. And it's, I mean, the 2D's like a 2.5. It's not like a full 2D. But it's like, which one's your favorite? What do you want to stick with? And at least they didn't go back to doing a side scroller like they did with Zelda 2, or did they? I mean, maybe did I miss one? Did I miss a side scroller? And I'm not counting the CDI games, so those are not canon.
I don't think they did go back to a side scroller after that one.
Unless you count the CDI game.
Yeah, unless you had that. So, but I actually agree with this entry. And I think the issue here with what changed Zelda is when you get to Zelda 2, and you get to Ocarina of Time and you get to Breath of the Wild, they want to make it a more grandiose adventure in this big massive world, which is fine, totally fine. But they lose grip on what the first one was, which was basically this overworld. Really was more of you're doing a transition from one dungeon to another, which you could think about as being just level 1, level 2, 3, 4, 5 in a normal game. You just have this overworld that you need to get from level 1 to level 2. And I think they started losing grip on that and started like, okay, well, maybe we won't need as much in the dungeon in this way, as we're putting this big overworld in the picture instead. And I think that's where the main change is happening. And of course, also the play style change, because like I've mentioned with Zelda's an interesting game because it's technically 2 play styles in one. It's a top-down shooter, whether you think that or not, it technically is a top-down shooter. And then when you lose your sword beams, it flips to a hack and slash game. And you actually play those 2 styles very differently. And none of the other Zeldas really got that again. They just treated it all as hack and slash. So.
The laundry's ready.
Yes, it is. So that's all I have to add to that one.
Barrett, you got anything for the Land of Hyrule?
No, you guys said it all.
So that rolls it back to Barrett again.
All right. So let's see. Choose which one.
See what you can strike off my list this time. You guys are 2 for 2 here.
Let's look nothing to talk about.
Oh, I got ones I'm sure you won't pick.
Well, here, why don't you go ahead, because I'm still trying to decide between my other things. So
Okay, I'll gladly go ahead. Let's talk about my favorite game of all time, Persona, because this is definitely a series that is unrecognizable from where it started. I would put the first one kind of as it's like a PC style RPG kind of. Now it's just as anime vomit that is it's very Japanese anime now. Whereas the first one, there was a lot to it. There was positioning of the characters and what they could strike. There was a conversation system where you had to learn based off the moods of the enemies what character and what response is going to get a favorable outcome. There was the ability to choose your characters in it. Now it's like the only thing that it really feels it has from the original is the fact that it has personas and that you can hit enemies with weaknesses, with their weaknesses. And that's pretty much it. Now it's just anime fluff. And it seems to be getting worse and worse. And that happened when you got to Persona 3. And the other thing it tried to emphasize were the social links, where you have these connections with these people, and that affects your growth in certain persona classes because they're tied to this class and so forth. It's just completely different. And actually the whole SMT series had this shift from where it was something very dark and more complex to something that's a little more, I want to say, straightforward and anime. So anyone have thing they want to add to that?
And
I agree. Yeah, that's a good pick.
All right, Barrett, you got something now?
Yeah. So the Dead Island series, it's a zombie survival thing. And I'm including in this the kind of unofficial sequels because there was like a rights issue, and then this other company ended up with the rights to the original series, but then the company that made the original series but lost the rights to their own game ended up making basically the exact same game, right? Like it is so close, but they just call it something else. So I'm counting all of those games in this series. And it started off with the original Dead Island as this, it was open world. And, there's like a zompocalypse, and then your character wakes up and it's like, oh crap, what is going on? And you got to kind of go around and survive and try to find other survivors. And then you get quests, so like people send you out to like get supplies and whatnot. And it was very focused on crafting. And then we move into some of the later games like Dying Light. That's basically the same people that made the original game, but they lost the rights to their own game. So they didn't call it Dying Light. But it's basically, they're trying to do the same thing. But I feel like it changed beyond recognition because then they tried to make it very heavily story-based. Whereas in the original game, there wasn't a whole lot of story because I think that they were trying to have it be this sort of emergent gameplay where you make up your own thing, like you just mess around in there and you have all the crafting and then open world and you explore, and it's all very environmental storytelling. And there's a tiny bit of overarching story as to like, there's hints that maybe there was some conspiracy that led to the zombie outbreak, but the game doesn't really bother too much about it. And then move forward, now all of a sudden they're trying to have it be super story based, but still they want to have their cake and eat it too. And so then it's kind of awkward, in my opinion, at least awkward, because they don't want to commit too much to this story because they want you to be very open and go anywhere and do anything. but then they interrupt things constantly with cutscenes because they also do want to have this really, really massive story. And so I feel like that kind of changed it from just a sandbox game into this kind of schizophrenic thing that is half sandbox, half super deep story. And
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played any of those games, so I know you mentioned them before because those are co-op, online co-op, right?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know you mentioned those. I haven't gotten to those yet.
they're overall pretty good. And a lot of people love the later ones, the Dying Lights and the others. And then eventually this other company that bought the rights made a direct name sequel, Dead Island 2, that's pretty good. It's decent. But your mileage will vary. I'm actually curious if either of you guys do play these games, whether you like the more sandboxy one or the more story one.
I would probably go for something more story. I'm kind of burned out of open world sandbox type of games because I feel like I get excited on the fact that I can do anything. I can go anywhere. I can explore all I want. But then I realize after a couple days, I'm like, okay, I've explored enough. I have no direction. So I have no connection to really what's going on. And I just lose interest at that point.
Interesting. Wow. Wow. Okay. Because I feel like I'm usually the one who's like the hardcore, like wants the story, wants deep story, and you guys are like all into more arcadey kind of stuff. But I guess it's the flip here.
Well, I think it's more, the story didn't have to be something that's really interesting. It just has to have a direction. It's like, direct me to where the next incident is going to happen.
Ah, okay.
So,
I like it when stuff makes sense. Why am I doing this? What or why am I here doing this specific thing? You know, and if I can't figure that out, well, then the story sucks. Um, yeah, I never played that one, but I do. I have heard of it. So,
All right. What
all right, Ben.
I have to say about that?
Ben?
um, I'm gonna stick with Nintendo, and also, once again, just because they did changes doesn't mean it was bad, and I already mentioned it. But that would be Super Mario Brothers. Is that another one off your list, Mike?
That was kind of on my list. I mean, it was like the very last one on my list.
One thing they kind of keep in common is that you're a plumber who jumps on people's on creatures' heads, and that's how you kill them. Um, but other than that, it's like with the 3D and 2D and Mario 2, our version of Mario 2, which you guys would have to talk about in the pre-show. Our version of Mario 2 versus, like, you know, what Mario 1 was like versus what Mario 3 is like. It's just in Mario Land. I mean, yeah, they're all platformers in a way, but at the same time, it's like it's so many different directions, and it's like if it wasn't for the fact that they were all like a plumber jumping on people's heads, you wouldn't know it was the same series.
So is the problem then maybe oversaturation?
Oh, there's too many of them. Oh yeah. Especially the 2D games. Like, you literally, like, if you're gonna go and get into 2D Mario, I recommend you go on YouTube and look at what the best one is, because for Switch alone, there's like 3 or 4 different 2D Mario games, and one of them is definitely better than the others. You know.
See, for me, it isn't the 3D change, because 3D change does bring about a massive change to the gameplay and style. But I mean, I could turn around and say the same thing for Grand Theft Auto, is that it's not the same game just because of 3D change. But in a way, it still is the same game. I think with the Super Mario series, where I see the change is when you get past like Super Mario 64, and you're dealing with things like Mario Sunshine, or Mario Universe, or Mario Everything, Mario Infinity. It's like, I get you. You're wanting to do something different with this license, because you put Mario takes a dump after 6 bowls of chili, and the game's gonna sell millions of copies.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get why you'd want to take a chance with this character, but it doesn't feel like it goes along the lines of what a Mario game is. So and you could even, you know what, you could even argue Super Mario RPG, but I mean that wasn't done by Nintendo. That was done by Square.
Yeah.
So that was a big change, and that's spun off into the whole Paper Mario thing.
Well, because if you want to get into the Mario spin-offs, I mean, there's also Mario Sports, and
Yeah.
so there's a whole ton you can go there.
And that's why Mario is like the most well-known character. Like,
Or more well known than Mickey Mouse worldwide.
yeah. I don't know if he's taken Pac-Man, but he probably has, because having
Well, and when's the last time you played a new Pac-Man game?
exactly. I mean, you have to be an older person to recognize Pac-Man over Mario.
Even new Pac-Man releases, it's just them taking the old Pac-Man game and replacing it. Oh, like, oh, the new Pac-Man adventure. I haven't seen one of those since like Genesis.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Nintendo 64 had a new Pac-Man game.
Mm.
Genesis does.
And you know who also had Pac-Man? Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Is that where you're going next?
No, I just saying that actually does have Pac-Man as a playable character in it that you can fight with Pac-Man.
Yeah, he's in Smash Brothers too.
Is he now in Smash Brothers? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't play Smash Brothers, but I know he's in one of them. At least one of them.
It's got to be the most recent, because that one has like 90 plus DLC characters.
Oh yeah, they got like everybody. So Barrett, what are your thoughts on Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah, so that's the interesting one, because I agree. I like what you guys are saying, but I also kind of wonder whether or not there is, like, if you have so many games and the change is incremental enough between them, can we really even argue against it? Like, even if, yeah, like you say, like, oh, from the first game to the 20th game, they're different. Is it really this kind of a thing though? Because, you know, if you have 20 small steps, does that really count as it's like, oh, it's so completely different now?
Well, how about Mario 1 to Mario 2? You go from spitting fireball to picking up plants.
But that wasn't the case originally.
Well, I know that. I mean, if you want to get
That was our case. That was our case because it was determined that Mario 2 was going to be too difficult for us.
Yeah, so that you could argue, is that even a true Mario sequel? Maybe yes, maybe no. But then also, is that so different though? I mean, a lot of it, even though it was a reskin of the Doki Doki Panic, that's still, I mean, it has a lot of similarities to basic Mario. You're running and jumping.
it's the same game and 2. Like literally the same team that made the Mario 1 is the same team that made Doki Doki Panic.
Yeah. So, but maybe it's changed that. If I had to pick maybe a place where it changed maybe enough, and I'm struggling even because it's like such like incremental change throughout all these. But maybe oh geez, what was it? Odyssey? I think because you could go to like these different areas, and they're like, there's actual like worlds and stuff. Like you could go to like a city and like wander around like
It's open world, like yeah, it's an open world Mario game.
and so maybe that was different enough that I'm like, all right, maybe we lost the formula now.
Yeah,
Well, I think that Nintendo kind of knows this, and they're like, you know, back up. We went too far. Now let's put out the new Super Mario Brothers. Back up again. Let's put out Super Mario Brothers Wonder. They kind of know when with Mario, when they pushed it to where it's getting un-Mario, and then they just rubber band it back to Mario with the next release to make all those people that are familiar with those 2D games happy again with Mario.
That's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah.
all right.
All right, so now this is where it's going to get a little confusing, because Barrett, do you want to go ahead and take lead again?
Oh no, I don't have. I mean, I don't know. We'll just skip the rest of my things because I don't think you guys are going to play any of these other series or have really any frame of reference for it.
Okay, well, if you want to toss them out, you're welcome to do so. I mean, we're curious.
Okay. Well, so this is the last one.
You want to do a speed round where you just go through all you have left and just pop them out?
Well, actually, I'll play this one. But I don't know. Say it really quickly. There's a real-time strategy sort of series. I mean, once again, it's like people lost the rights and they got the rights back, so the names are different. But there was this thing called Total Annihilation back in the day, and then eventually it got resurrected as Supreme Commander, and then they lost the name Supreme Commander, and then it got resurrected as Planetary Annihilation. And then I feel like by the time they moved to that Planetary Annihilation, it's unrecognizable. It was an interesting idea, but it feels less like an actual game and more just like a glorified, like a demo. And that was because I think that the technology just wasn't there to fully do what they want to do, which was basically they wanted you to be able to leave the map and go to have like other worlds. And like actually it's kind of like a Mario game, like one of those, I forget which one, but that Mario game where you're actually on like spheres and stuff and like moving around like on like a little mini planet. That's what was maybe tried to do for real-time strategy. So instead of on like a 2D map, right, and you're moving your units around, they're like, well, what if you could go to like a small planet and you're moving all around this planet and you have the full sphere, the full globe. But then they wanted to be more ambitious and take it so you could actually span multiple planets and you have like an intergalactic battle, but the engine just couldn't handle it. And so they had to make all these tweaks and compromises to like make it work. And then it just didn't feel like a strategy game anymore. So that's all I'll say about that.
Interesting. Okay, I think I've heard of the first one, Total Annihilation. I've
heard of both the first one and the second one. I never played them, but I've heard the name. So you're not the first person I've met who liked those games. Somebody mentioned to me at some point, probably followed by, "Dude, you really should try these out." And I
Okay, so I actually only have one more that I want to throw out, but then I do after that, after Ben goes, I do actually have another one that I do want to toss out. That's a kind of a special situation. Excuse me, man. It was all that chili I had earlier. So this is one that I kind of want to direct at you guys, and probably mostly towards Barrett because he'll probably know the most. But that's gonna be the last thing I'm gonna do. So this is gonna be my actual technical last one, that I do have experience with, and it's heartbreaking because this is a massive piece of my childhood. And that would be Rygar. So I don't know if you guys ever played Rygar or not. Now, Rygar had an interesting situation that's similar to Strider, which Strider is one that kind of has changed a bit. But Rygar had its arcade version.
Rygar was awesome in the arcade.
Yeah. Rygar then went to NES, and the style was completely different. It was more of an adventure game, which is actually what Strider did too. But I don't think that was the change that was really that massive. The problem is PlayStation 2, they resurrected Rygar. And I don't know if either of you played that version. It's essentially God of War. And I don't like God of War, Devil May Cry style games. So when I pick this up, I'm getting ready for, an adventure. I know it's 3D, an adventure like Rygar on NES. And then realized I have to start doing combos. And that just kind of broke my heart with the series. I don't think they've done anything since with Rygar. I think it's pretty much dead. And that's probably a good thing.
Well, yeah, I played Rygar when it was out. Actually, I played Rygar not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. It's on one of my collections. And yeah, it's a fun game.
Yeah.
The arcade was a blast. It's like It was what was it that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that he was in? Conan. Yeah, that's what it was like. Was like Conan, like the video game?
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of them like that. That and Roston and stuff like that.
Golden Axe.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Ben.
Okay. Mike, let's just go to your bonus one. I think I'm done.
Okay. All right. So my bonus one, I want to get your guys' opinions on this one. Silent Hill. Silent Hill, mostly because there were few changes through the series. I think the first one was trying to be very Resident Evil, and then they really wanted to go psychological. And okay, that's fine. Now let's talk about Silent Hill F, which the problem here is it doesn't take place in Silent Hill. Now, I haven't played it, and I'm not going to play it because of my feelings on Silent Hill. Barrett, have you played it at all?
No, I have not.
Okay. Is that a reason why you haven't played it, or?
No, I'm not married to it being in Silent Hill or not or whatever. It just didn't. It didn't have the right vibe for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. It felt like it was very much something that, because I did see like some really in-depth reviews that talked a lot about it, and it seemed like it was very much like you had a cast of characters. And granted, in the other ones, you had all these other characters, but you didn't really encounter them much. Like those, you mostly just had your player character, and then every once in a while you'd run into someone else and you get like hints at the story or whatever. But this is like full on. You have a cast of people that you travel around with and you interact with constantly. And I just didn't really identify with or seem to like any of the characters. So I was like, well, if I'm stuck with these people for the whole game and it's a longer game, I heard it's like 60 hours or something. I'm like, I don't want to spend 60 hours with these people. So I didn't end up playing it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, for me, not being Silent Hill is a big thing because the game's named after the city.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be very weird to hear that the new Mortal Kombat game is going to be a game about baking cakes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically my issue with it, and why I think it seemed to me that they were putting the Silent Hill name on it because they wanted it to sell.
Yeah.
Mr. Thin, the new Mortal Kombat game will be about baking cakes. Scorpion will do the thing where he'll take his mask off, and that's how the cakes will get cooked.
Johnny Cage, is this strawberry sauce? Case didn't find out.
It's so good you'll lose your head over it.
Yeah.
A couple times.
A couple times. 3 times.
It's 3 times he does it?
Yeah, you have to like do the same move 3 times, and then the computer glitches and does it 3 times. I think it's one of the things like it glitched, and they never fixed the glitch, knowing that the glitch was there.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, I just want we were testing it. We found out if you do Johnny Cage's fatality 3 times fast, the game will just do it 3 times. Do you want us to fix that code? No. Okay.
Because if they know, and the reason why they don't want to fix it is because there are going to be kids that are going to be like, hey dude, you gotta check this out, come here, and then they'll put their quarter in, and that's how they make money.
Yeah, that's why like it's what was it, the difference between a glitch and a feature is if it's something that was unexpected and it's a good thing, it's a feature, and if it's a bad thing, it's a glitch.
Exactly.
Well, they're both glitches, it's a bug. That's what it was. They're both a glitch, but if it's a good glitch, it's a feature. If it's a bad glitch, it's a bug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
And that was a good glitch. So they loved it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I think that closes it out for the night.
Yeah.
So cue up that music.
I hear that music is playing. It's playing in the back. And I did some Johnny Cash stuff, and I got no way back.
Yeah.
On the Folsom prison.
So if you're listening when this first comes out, I believe there's going to be more reviews releasing this week, probably.
Yeah. I just finished up the last one today. I don't know. The last one might not be the last one released. I might leave the last one might be the big one. One of them is a supersized double length video. It's 90 seconds instead of 45.
So yeah, there you go. So keep an eye out for those. And Ben, who are you giving the last word to?
Well, Barrett, you're here. What's the last word?
Peace.